Hey there, this is Ross Izzard, and this is the Backcountry Fly Fishing Podcast, where we talk about fly fishing over the holidays. This is our holiday special. I'm doing sarcastic air quotes over here, but you can't see them, which is code for I want to go fishing and take some time off. And I love doing this podcast. It's a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed the feedback from a lot of you in the comments and everything else, and that's been great. But I'm going to attempt to take a week or two off here. I'm still going to go fishing, still going to be doing a little bit of work, but we're going to have a little bit of a lighter schedule on the podcast, which means that this one will go up the Friday after Christmas, and then the following Friday after New Year, we'll be back at it talking about, real stuff. First half of the season, as you know, was all about just setting you up for winter fly fishing as far as gear and tactics and approach and access and all of those good things. The second half is going to be more interview based with a bunch of folks who are going to walk us through some other related topics. So avalanche safety, how to stay in shape for hiking season over the winter, how to start planning your first round of high alpine lake trips for the spring, and then a little bit more as far as fishing tailwaters and what that looks like for you, especially as we start moving into the back half of winter and maybe start letting our hopes come up that the sun's going to come out again and things might warm up a little bit. Although that's a little bit of an overstatement because, to be honest, it's been ridiculously warm here in Colorado this winter. So, it's kind of hard to complain about that. Weather's been great. But before we close that out, I wanted to just take a minute and talk about closing out your year of fly fishing and looking toward your next year of fly fishing. The holidays are a time of reflection for a lot of people. I think that people really love to look back at the year they've had, the challenges they've had, the successes they've had, the places they went, the memories they made, and they like to think about what they're going to do in the coming year. And that's awesome. It's great. It's a healthy exercise. I do the same thing. But I think a lot of people limit that exercise to just, work, or maybe it's getting in shape, or I don't know, doing something else that you've been waiting to get done for a long time. And that's fine. No big deal. But I think that you can really make some serious progress in your angling game by making sure that your fly fishing journey is sort of part of that exercise. So you guys know, I'm sort of a nerd. People judge me for this sometimes, and that's okay. I don't care. I track my fishing. I don't track it super religiously. I don't have like one of those fish clickers out there with me, although I do track it on my watch, so it's not far off. But I have goals every year. So I come into every year with the goal of fishing for 100 days in the year. Doesn't matter where those days might be small streams, might be just standard river fishing, could be high alpine fishing. In some cases, it might be ice fishing with flies, which, that's a whole different thing that we haven't talked about yet, but maybe we'll get there. But I like to spend 100 days a year on the water, chasing fish with a fly. Well, I should say with a fly rod, but in some cases there might be an ice rod with flies at the end of it. But in any case, with flies for 100 days a year. That's my goal. That is what I think my sweet spot is as far as me being able to get out there, do the things that I want, balance that with the rest of my life, which does need some of my attention, and feel like I'm making progress. Because there's always something to learn. No matter how good you get at this angling thing, there's always something new. The fish are going to surprise you. The river is going to surprise you. There's going to be some new trick or tip or something that you can pick up. We're never really done learning, right? And so that's the point of fly fishing. I think that's the appeal of fly fishing for a lot of us. And I like to honor that by having goals. And so at the end of the year, I will sit down and I'll think about that goal, my 100 days a year goal. And then I think about my second goal, which is I like to catch 1,000 fish each year. That sounds like a crazy number, but it's really not, right? We're talking an average of 10 fish per trip. Sometimes you catch way more than that. Sometimes you catch way less than that. But it's actually not crazy over the course of a year when you're spending 100 days on the water. And so it doesn't matter what kind of fish they are. Might be pike, might be trout. It's almost always trout, which probably won't surprise you. But it could be panfish. It could be bass. I mean, I get around, man. And there's a lot of stuff that you can catch with a fly rod. And honestly, it's all pretty darn fun. But I like to have 1,000 fish, in the net, or at least close enough to the net that I get to count them, right? They have to be convincingly hooked for me to be able to count those guys. But that's my goal for the year, 100 days and 1,000 fish. And I try to hold myself pretty accountable to that. I'm not going to like beat myself up if I don't make it, which actually this year was the first year in the last 4 years that I didn't make it to my days goal. I did make it to my fish goal, but I only made it to 87 days on the water this year. So, I had some personal stuff happen in my life. My mom passed away. I have just kind of had a little bit of a tumultuous year. So all things considered, I'm actually okay with that. But it's good to look back and think about, where you landed. And I like to take that and sit down. I really encourage you when you go out and you fish, either keep a written log, so sit down and write it out. Some guys love to do that, and that's cool. I like to keep photographic logs. So I take a lot of pictures when I'm out there. A lot of them are of fish, but a lot of them are also just of the scenery and nature in general and interesting things that I see out there. Some of them are for publishing on social media like Reddit or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Go check those out if you want to see some of the pictures that I've taken. But a lot of them are just so I can remember them. And one of my favorite activities is, sitting inside, drinking hot cocoa, hanging out on the couch and flipping through my phone at all the cool places that I've been and the fish that I've caught over the last year. And you'll find like with a lot of things in your life that, looking back over the course of a year's a long time. Now, you probably forgot about some of those trips. You probably forgot about some of those experiences. You probably didn't really realize how much work and effort you made. And as a consequence, how much better at fly fishing you got. And so it's a cool time to reflect and remember and think about where the holes in your game are, but also appreciate where you've been and feel proud of yourself for getting out there and having what I hope was a really, really awesome year of fly fishing. Now, going along with that, you got to set your New Year's resolutions, right? And you can have a whole bunch of those, like I said. But really, I encourage you to think about setting New Year's resolutions for fishing. And you can think about what those look like. Maybe it's that you want to get better at a specific tactic, right? So maybe you've never tightline nymphed and you want to learn how to tightline nymph. Maybe you really, really, really want to perfect your fly cast. Maybe you want to get out and try a different kind of fishing that you've never done before, chase a species that you've never chased before. Maybe you want to start fly tying for the first time or learn a whole bunch of new patterns that you can tie up. Maybe you want to go to specific places that you haven't been that are challenging to get to. And I think those are all awesome goals, right? So mine are usually days on the water, number of fish caught. And then I have a list of places that I'm going to get. I already have a list of at least 5 places for next summer that are really, really hard lakes that I'd like to get to, as well as a couple of streams that are going to be pretty difficult to get to on the backcountry side as sort of my capstone trips. So the big challenging trips that I like to take every year. And then a whole bunch, probably 24 other places in wilderness areas that I plan to hit over the course of the spring and the summer. And those are all there. So I have a list of those. I can sit down. I can start planning for them. We'll have an episode about how you can start planning this stuff here in just a few weeks. But I like to have those goals because, man, January is going to roll around. You're going to get busy. It's easy to kind of get stuck in the New Year grind and forget all about fly fishing. But if you are anything like me, fly fishing is probably pretty important to you. I mean, the fact that you're sitting here listening to this on Christmas instead of drinking hot cocoa with your feet up by a fire, or maybe you're doing both. I guess that's possible. But you probably take fishing pretty seriously, and it probably means something to you the way that it means to me. And I encourage you to really wrap that in to the end of your year, wrap it into the beginning of your year, and really think about how you want to develop as an angler in the coming year. Whatever the skill may be. It could be hiking, it could be backpacking, it could be camping, it could be fishing, whatever it might take. But if you want to go out there and do this fly fishing thing, and particularly if you want to do this backcountry fly fishing thing, there has never been a better time to start thinking about it than right now as we start rolling into 2025. So go do that. Grab a piece of paper, grab a notebook, write it in your phone. I don't care. But commit today to making yourself a goal for next year. If you had goals for this year, then be honest with yourself about whether or not you hit them. But get in there and be proactive, guys. This fly fishing thing is about growth and self-development and learning and improvement. And you are always going to be better at those when you are willing to take a little bit of time for self-reflection and for setting goals and objectives for where you want to go. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and shut up. We're going to keep it nice and short today. I'm going to go fishing today, as a matter of fact. So that should be fun, assuming that it's not incredibly busy since everybody is off of work and it is somehow almost 60 degrees here in Colorado. But I'm going to get out there. I'm going to spend some time on the water. I'm going to come back. I'm going to enjoy the holidays. I really hope that you're planning to do the same. Hope you can stay safe and warm. Hope you can get some time out there on the river. And we will see you back here in 1 week with the second half-ish of season 2. And we'll get right back into it. So Merry Christmas, guys, or Happy Holidays, or whatever you're into, and Happy New Year. Stay safe. Get out there. Catch some fish. Eat some food. We'll see you back here in 2025. Until next time, this is Ross. Maybe I'll see you out there. Unless you ate too much turkey.